we're back again, randomly spinning for creatures that we're going to attempt to rank in a tier list from 1 to 10, and looking at the Scorched Earth creatures this time and hoping we don't end up with a Jerboa at first place. Okay, let's go. Let's see what we get. Quite a surprisingly low amount of creatures for Scorched Earth, less than I thought there was. And what we're going to kick off with first, the fabled, wondered, loved, ever-loved annoyance that always runs upon you, especially starting out on this map. Terra Bird always pops up at the most inconvenient times in a pack, normally 1, 2 or 3, and a sheer annoyance whenever you don't need one around. But taming one, on the other hand, ain't a bad starter choice. Quite easy to knock out, and simply fed a bit of raw prime meat and you got yourself an early game saddled creature that flaps away to its heart's content to get you from A to B in pretty quick succession. Though its stamina isn't too hot, it can still be used as a great traversing creature, getting you around the map, even maybe trying to attempt running some of the caves with, and obviously being able to flap carries you great distances without touching the ground. But not exactly a fighter, not everybody's cup of tea. It's a creature worth taming if you really need to, but probably not going to see many of you taming this one, and for that I'm probably going to rank this one pretty low. I don't see many of you going for it, though I definitely strongly advise you to go. But it's not the worst creature that might be on this list, so let's put it in at number 8. Okay, kicking off now. What have we got next that's going to be on the list? Is it going to be a better traversing creature to get you around off the bat? Oh no, it's going to be perhaps the best creature on the map. The Fire Wyvern coming in at top tier. Now, this is one that might certainly contend for the number 1 spot, because the Fire Wyvern, contradictory to its ASE counterpart, is a monster on ASA. Of course, being a Wyvern can do a lot of things, can travel very fast, is hard hitting, carries a manner of different things, able to gather a decent amount of thatch from trees. Being on this map, Scorched Earth is going to be one of your go-to creatures as soon as you possibly can, with 3 variants of them: fire, poison and lightning, all offering their different breathing abilities. But this one in particular, Fire Wyvern on ASA anyway, deals some extraordinary burning damage, which before the patch that rolled out after the Scorched Earth version of ASA dropped was a monster, instantly killing you, making a Fire Wyvern the most feared creature on the map by far, therefore being the most desired creature on the map. In fact, though has had some nerfs since, is still a great choice if you need to use it to kill a Titan, for example, that you probably want to aim for a Lightning Wyvern there. But if you want to attempt to tame yourself a Phoenix, Fire Wyvern is by far the way. Don't forget, with the arrival of Magmasaurs, when they come to ASA as well, Wyverns can do that for you too, keeping them hot and heavy, making sure those eggs get popped out and you can birth your own Magmasaurs without carrying them to a lava pool. Pumped in weight, a great creature to get anything around the map in quick succession. And don't forget, their eggs can be used to make extraordinary kibble. And now with Wyverns, breedable means you can get as many eggs as you want to make that precious kibble. The question now is, what spot does it deserve? Is it number 1? Is it number 2? Are we going to get anything that we would value more than a Fire Wyvern? Perhaps a Lightning Wyvern. I'm still definitely a stickler for preferring those over Fire Wyverns, though Fire Wyverns in ASA are definitely more desired than most. Is there any other creature? Probably not. I think I'm going to put it there. Number 1 spot. I think it deserves number 1 spot, and let's see what else we get. Coming in next, what we're going to have. Is it going to possibly be that number 1 contender after all, or is it going to be something somewhere in the middle? Oh, Equus. I love an Equus. One of my most favorite creatures in ARK. Perhaps has the most underrated ability under its hooves. Needing to tame one by jumping on its back and enter a game of Buckaroo, repeatedly hitting the button when prompted to feed it whatever it desires, and you really should be aiming for rock carrots to feed it with. Don't use Mijos. I try to do this with Mijos every single time and regret it every single time. But once you got carrots, definitely a worthy tame. Doesn't need a saddle, so you can jump straight on the back of this thing and ride wherever you want to go. Got a great amount of weight and stamina and speed under its belt. And of course, when you drop on a saddle, you've got yourself your very own chemistry bench to use on the fly. Okay, I think it's more in line with a mortar and pestle than it is a chem bench, but a free chem bench nonetheless, you can't complain about. But the Equus, as well as being a pretty decent traversing creature, pumped in melee, especially bred, you will find this thing knock out anything and everything with its ult attack with relative ease. Seriously, go and test it yourself. Go and breed yourself a monster Equus with melee and go and knock out some of the hardest to knock out creatures out there. You will do it, I guarantee it. As long as you don't mess about, you can do it. I've knocked out a Giga before, believe it or not. As well as that, it's a great choice for gathering thatch or berries early on, with some seriously overlooked weight reductions, especially on Scorched Earth, with Cactus Sap offering an 80% weight reduction, as well as paste, clay and sand, the latter something you'll get loads of during your play on Scorched Earth, with a 50% reduction on stone, keratin and chitin on top. An absolutely useful creature, something you definitely want to aim for if you want some free KOing without the need to craft your own tranks. I would rate this one super high, though I get a feeling we're going to get some other things that might come in a bit more endgame, a bit more towards something you desire to try and defeat, maybe the Manticore of the map. And there's some other pretty cool new creatures that have arrived with the ASA version of this, so I'm going to put it in high, but not too high. Maybe 3 or 4, 3 or 4, 3 or 4, 3 or 4. Let's put it in safely at 4, but I get a feeling we might have wanted to put this in at 3. All right, what's up next? Is it going to be something in the middle of the field that I can select? Is it going to be something perhaps down low? Is it going to be something strong like wood? It's strong like rock. Rock Elemental, one of my favorite creatures on Scorched Earth. I love this creature. I'm a big fan of this. I just think the model in itself is just a really cool thing to look at and a scary thing to wander into, which is going to happen to you during your adventures on Scorched Earth. You'll see that rock over there. You'll think, what the hell is that? That looks a bit weird. Did it move? Oh no, wait a minute. It appears turned into a giant golem and has now smashed me in the face with a giant rock, killing me instantly. Love these things. Nightmare to tame. Gonna need cannons, gonna need lots of balls to shoot them in the face, but a fun thing to tame nonetheless, and a great thing to use if you're tanking stuff on PvP, but if only if you're tanking heavies. At the moment, currently in ASA as it is, it's gonna be a definitely still used creature, but as time ticks on, probably more and more underused, as it's not really good against tech turrets, sadly, and tech turrets are in ASA anyway, so maybe it is a bit underused. But I'm a big fan of these. Obviously, they take 50% reduction damage, which is an absolute godsend when you need to perhaps tank some certain things, and I'll get to one in just a moment, with them being a really good, useful alternative for harvesting stone if you've got nothing else like a Dode to do the job. Able to reward you metal, crystal, oil, sulfur and obsidian if you attempt to kill any, though you're going to have a bit of a pain to kill any of those without a Thyla, which yes does bleed it, and it's kind of funny to see a Thyla bleeding out a rock elemental, but wyverns can't damage them. Any elemental breath attack it's immune to, so a possible alternative if you want to use a rock elemental to kill wyverns, though try and keep up with them with a rock elemental. I would like to see you try. Being able to hide away wherever you want and hope people don't notice this particular rock out in the middle of nowhere, or standing, not standing, actually being a rock next to other rocks in Scorched Earth or any other map for that matter. And believe it or not, on ASA they are incredibly hard to spot compared to their ASE counterparts. They do have one really good useful PvE trick up their sleeve, and that's with taming Ceratosauruses, that they can tank a hefty amount of damage and therefore are a fantastic choice to use if you plan to tame yourself any Ceras. So for those reasons, and it really is one of my most favourite creatures on the map, I'm not going to give it second place. I feel like something else is still going to come in clutch that you're all going to go, oh, that should have been the one that we needed and that should have deserved the second place. And you're probably going to disagree with me on this one and probably rank this one even lower, but I'm going to put it in at third place. It's my list, not yours. Make your own list. Next up, what do we got? What do we got? What's going to brave us through our deserty adventure? Is it something early game that's useful? It certainly is. Morellatops, that's got some great new features with its ASA arrival. Definitely an early game tame. The Camelsaurus is great simply just for carrying stuff around the map whenever you need to. Able to gather a wealth of berries as well as thatch and wood, cactus, sap, silk, rare mushrooms and rare flowers. and perhaps a faster creature than you'd expect with a decent tanky health pool under its sleeve. It's definitely a great choice to go for very early on, but it's got a great feature under its hood that it allows to distribute water. If you take it to any water well or water hole, you'll be able to drink with your Morellatops, storing up to 750 units of water, which not only allows you to replenish that hydration that you sorely need on this hot and heavy map, but on the ASA version of Scorched Earth can actually irrigate. So as long as it's got water in its storage, it'll be able to keep crop plots waters nearby. So in a dire situation where you can't find any way to irrigate your crop plots, Morellatops is by far a good choice for that. And for that reason alone, its irrigation probably makes this a more desired creature than even I think. But is it up there? Probably still not. I think most people overlook this and try and irrigate some other way, but it's high weight, being an early game tame. I've got to rate it over a Terror Bird, so I'm going to put it in at a very safe number 7. Coming in next, what is it? We're getting a bit split now. We've got middles, we've got ends, we've got tops. I've got some room to navigate. What's going to come in to create this navigation? It is the Achatina! Hello, Achatina. And on Scorched Earth, possibly an absolute must, because this is the only creature that's going to reward you paste. That's correct. There are no beavers on Scorched Earth. Therefore, if you want to freely obtain any paste without having to craft it, laboriously craft it yourself through either a mortar or pestle or a chem bench, you're going to want to get yourself a snail. Taming one, on the other hand, might be a bit of a challenge, as you're going to have to wander into one of the caves and avoid all of the nasties within those caves on top, and definitely make sure you've got something hefty to knock one out, and have sweet veggie cakes at the ready to be able to tame one and to keep one fed. But once tamed, it'll passively generate you paste all the way up to 100 at a time, not forgetting it'll generate organic poly on top. This is a creature you're going to want to tame on Scorched Earth. The question is, how needed is it? It's not a creature you're gonna beat the bosses with, that's for sure, despite it being a tankier creature than you'd expect with its snail. Like, try and knock one out once it tucks itself into its snail, and let me know how you get on with that, because it's a pain in the bum. But is it second place? I can't put it there, man. I feel like we're going to get something still that's deserving of that second place. So for that, I'm going to put it in at 5th. You're going to need one. You're definitely going to want to tame one, unless you want to craft paste on your own. But on Scorched Earth, that sucks. But I think 5th place is probably a safe place to put this. Let's do it. There we go. Right then, we really do need some losers now. I've got a second place left and a few loser spots. Give me something worthwhile, man. And absolutely perfect. Does the job. Flappy Happy, Flappy Bird, ARK now completely unneeded, unnecessary on this map. Maybe there's some argument to go and tame yourself one. I don't think you're really going to do that, to be honest. It's a great thing to use to have a free parachute to get you anywhere around the map, and you can go all the way from one end of the map to the other without touching the floor. This thing will keep you high in the skies, but you've got to traverse somewhere high to even do that. And then what? What's it going to do? Not a fat lot, really. You can attempt to grab Wyvern eggs with them if you really wish to, but again, you're going to need to get out. It's a death wish, really. There's no real purpose for this thing on Scorched Earth. Maybe to help you go on foot through caves, but then again, there's plenty of creatures that are going to make cave traversing even safer. I don't think this is something you're going to go for. Maybe if you're so desperate and you need a quick way of getting about early on, I could see somebody taming this one, getting some chitin under your hood, knock one out, because they're pretty easy to knock out, and then you've got something to get around on foot early game. But other than that, not going to happen, man. For Scorched Earth, I think this is an easy one to rank pretty low. But is there going to be something worse than an ARK? That is the question. I don't know. I don't think there will be. I think this is something nobody tames on Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth in particular. Maybe other maps I could see other people going for. But on Scorched Earth, not really. It's just not a desired creature anymore. There's much better ways to get around. It's a fun thing to use. It's a novelty thing to use. But once you've tried it out once, you probably won't bother with it again. So I gotta put it in the 10th place. Sorry, ARK. And next up then, what have we got? Thank God we got something in at 10th place. I'm happy with that one. And surely it can't be worse than that. And there it is. I think that is our second place winner. Definitely. Thyla is the best travel mount for you on Scorched Earth. A pain to run into early on, but something you definitely want to tame. A Thyla gets you around at supersonic speeds if you know how. It's the all-around transport creature, got some good weight on its back, able to vertically climb anything and everything that it wants. And if you start spamming that jump button, you're going to see this Thyla travel far and wide, quicker than possibly any creature in the game. And it's a wonder if Wildcard will ever patch this. But its biggest ability is, of course, its bleed, the most disgusting bleed in the game. Anything it bites, it applies a bleed effect, reducing 5% of the target's health for over 5 seconds, repeatedly doing that, going back and forth on things like Titans, Rock Golems, as I said before, any creature for that matter, even alphas. Thyla is the way to do this. A Thyla, everybody loves a Thyla. It's a great, fantastic creature to tame. And they're big, cool, ferocious cats, not forgetting being cat-like creatures, can pounce on things, keeping them in their grasp while they munch away at their head if you so desired. But either way, Thyla is a creature you're going to want to get, you're going to want to tame. You will definitely want this as your all-around monster to take on literally everything. The only thing it's not good for is bosses, and I'm going to just hope I don't get a boss creature in the spin wheel, or else I'm pretty screwed here. I've got to put it in at second place. The Thyla is a desired creature you're going to want on Scorched Earth. Let's put it there, and let's see what gets 6th and 9th. Here we go. What's it gonna be? Come on. Be a loser, please. Don't give me winners now. We're done. We've got some great... Oh, no. Move. A little bit more. Oh, just about. Oh. I think we almost had a lightning wyvern there, but we just about got a Kentro. And hey, Kentros are great. Great fun to use if you know how. But let's face it, not everybody tames them, but you need to tame them, because anything that hits this thing, depending on the drag weight of the creature that hits your Kentro, is going to receive a percentage of reflective damage back, with a pack boost buff on top, increasing by 5% to its melee damage for a group of up to 4 members. It is sadly something you can't ride, but try whistling this at any small creatures and watch its tail swing out, piercing anything in the face, grabbing it with its tail, and bleeding it out hard. Seriously, Kentros are underrated if used by a knowledgeable ARK player. Definitely something you could use to even enrage a Giga, believe it or not. People used to do this. I don't know if they still do that, but it's safe to say it's a bit of a novelty use with its abilities. It's not something you're going to go out and definitely use all the time. I would strongly recommend it. I think it's a cool thing. We've seen this in our Dingle Cup videos, and it's won so many fights. Kentro is OP, but it's limited, so I'm happy to put this one in at 6th place. Please don't be a good dino. Please be something poor, useless, not needed, something I don't need to talk about too much. Oh no. Damn it. Ah, the Deinosuchus, or Deinosuchus, wherever you pronounce it, Suchus. These are hard to do, man. You know, Big Croc is Big Croc. Arrived to ARK originally as a modded creature, and then actually fully blown imported into the ASA base vanilla version of the game. Is a monster, a scary monster to encounter if you've seen it once before. Its giant jaws lifting up, clamping down with its gigabyte, ensnaring a giant amount of damage wherever it clamps down on, with an interesting passive taming mechanic that's going to take some time depending on what taming rates you're on, and not too bad. You can do it without Gilly, and you definitely probably want mutton or above. Go for kibble if you can really afford it, with some gingerly approaching of its front mouth and hoping you don't startle the thing every time feeding it in its mouth and then quickly running away. Once tamed, you've got an absolute powerhouse. This thing is seriously a juggernaut. You'll find most players using this quite often depending on the scenario, with a range of different attacks from a bite, dealing a decent amount of damage, with a tail swipe that can knock things pretty far. If you've ever wondered why berries are flying in the skies, that's your reason why. And then of course it's gigabytes, dealing a whopping base 425 damage at 100% charged if you hold down the alternative attack for the time required, inflicting on top a fractured debuff effect that will literally bleed your enemy's health down too. Pumping these up in health and damage, you'll find these to be almighty tanks with a strong bite, being a choice we've used and tested against the island bosses and executed pretty well. Though on Scorched Earth, it's not something you're going to want to use if you're attempting to beat a flying boss. Deinosuchus can't fly, so they're never going to be able to reach this thing, so they're going to be pretty useless for that. Not forgetting, it's a great option to traverse in the water too, being pretty fast in the sea there. Well, Scorched Earth doesn't have any sea, so it kind of works in our favor a little bit here, rating it lower than it would be on other maps. I think any other map, this would be an absolute definite choice. It would be right up here. Though on Scorched Earth, it's not perhaps as good a creature as you think. I'd still probably rate this more higher than I've got to do at 9th place. But you know what? 9th place, I'm pretty happy with that. But do you agree or disagree with me? Comment below, let me know. And next top 10 random tier list do you want to see me do next? Until then, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, peace out.